What's going on here, guys? Welcome back to Talking Flicks. I'm your host, Evan, and today we are doing a very different video on this channel. Because normally, we do movie reviews, we do lists, that sort of thing. No, we're doing something different here. We're talking about how the DCEU could have been awesome. Zack Snyder's Justice League just getting released a couple months ago. I've been kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what, I should do this video. I'm gonna try and make my channel a bit more diverse. Hopefully we'll bring some of you guys in, some new people. That would be great. Anyway, what the DCEU could have been. If DC hadn't rushed its movies to catch up with Marvel and took their time then this possibly could have been just as good as the MCU. That is what the DCEU could have been. This series will be split into 3 parts, talking about the 3 phases of the DCEU that I have planned out. I totally don't only have the first part planned out right now. But today, luckily for us, we'll only be talking about phase 1, since this is being split into 3 videos. Also, there will be spoilers for all of the DCEU up to this point, so you have been warned. Now, no more mumbo jumbo, let's get into what the DCEU could have been. First things first, here's the question. What should be the first movie? Should it be Batman? No. Should it be Superman? No. It should be Wonder Woman. Now let me explain before all you get your pitchforks and torches out of me. We just finished the Dark Knight trilogy and in this hypothetical universe, the DCEU once again starts on June 14th, 2013, which is when Man of Steel was first released. People will still be off the high that was Dark Knight Rises, even though there are some people out there that didn't like it, but overall, it was a very well-regarded film. And you just have that, you have the rest of the trilogy as well. So Batman is off the table, because after 1 year, you don't want to just immediately reboot Batman, you don't want to do that. Now, why not Superman, you may be wondering. Because we got Superman Returns in 2006. It's not super recent, but recent enough for Superman to wait a little bit, wait his turn. The fact that Wonder Woman is a super popular superhero who hasn't had her own big movie yet is what convinces me that Wonder Woman should be the first one. I feel like 2013 would be the perfect time for a Wonder Woman movie to come out, because when it came out in 2017, it had Justice League right after it, and Suicide Squad and BVS right before it. So it just kind of felt like too little too late. It's like, no, you're doing the origin story in between all these team-up movies. It's like too quick. I mean, too late at this point, Should have just done it earlier. And without further ado, let's talk about Wonder Woman. Now, here's how I would do my Wonder Woman movie. If you don't know, I think the first Wonder Woman is a great movie. I really like it a lot. So what I would do, personally, is I would keep the first 2 acts the same. So yeah, I'm going to be deep diving into all of these movies, by the way, so you've been warned. Also, spoilers. I don't know if I said spoilers. I don't believe I did. So, spoilers. There you go. So, keep the first 2 acts the same, except for the beginning where Diana goes to the computer, that opening scene where she's at the computer seeing her old pictures that Bruce Wayne sort of sent her, cut that out, obviously, because this is the first movie. Also, same cast and director here, keeping Patty Jenkins, keeping all the same characters, all that. But instead, at the beginning, what we have a narration of Diana saying some stuff about the past while she's talking in the present. So the beginning of the movie takes place in the present, but it's a narration of her talking about the past. This scene will be very short, so let's get to the important stuff. The third act will get some changes for me. I know a lot of people agree with me that the third act of Wonder Woman could have been stronger. I was not a big fan of the third act. Well, not the whole third act, but really the final battle in particular. So, here's where I'm going to change. When Diana is about to stab Ludendorff, the main villain of the movie, when she is about to stab him, and in the movie, she does, instead, what I'm going to do, when she's about to stab him, a sword goes right through the back, from right beneath him. So you just see a sword come out from out of nowhere right beneath Ludendorff. You're like, whoa, shock! And then, you know, so then it is revealed that through his back is Ares right beneath him, played by the same actor. I forget his name, but same actor as it was in the original Wonder Woman movie. So the twist is still in there, and then Ares talks about how he just put ideas in the heads of humans, which also happened in the movie. Diana doesn't believe him, and we get a much better final battle, because for me personally, I did not like the final battle in the original movie. For me, too much CGI, and it didn't have that great choreography. I just didn't think it was a very interesting battle. However, I would keep the stuff with Steve Trevor and Diana's relationship, and Steve Trevor dying. I thought all that stuff was fantastic. Then, as soon as Diana finally kills Ares, which she does, just like in the movie, it's going to be, I guess, a bit of a prolonged ending here, a little bit extra stuff to add to the end of the movie here, which is that as soon as she killed Ares, the war still continues. Because in the original Wonder Woman movie, I felt like it almost went against the themes a little bit there. The fact that when Wonder Woman killed Ares, it just ended everything, you know? I feel like if Ares dies and the war doesn't end, it means that much more, and it gives a better message overall to the viewer. It works much better thematically, and I think it also works for her character growth for the character of Wonder Woman herself. Diana feels at her lowest point here, but she keeps fighting. After the battle with Ares, we show Wonder Woman in an emotional scene about how she was wrong, and she's meeting up with Steve Trevor's buddies because Steve Trevor's dead. Then we cut to a montage of Diana in a bunch of battles in the war, and her helping stop World War I. So in the end, Diana gets her victory, just not in the way she wanted. This also sets up the darker tone the DCEU has, which I'm willing to keep to make it different from the MCU, which is, at this point, way ahead of the DCEU. You know, it's got freaking 7 movies on the DCEU at this point. Now, one more thing, and that's a post-credit scene. What I would do is a scene where Wonder Woman is reading a newspaper, and Wonder Woman hears crime outside, so she drops a newspaper, naturally. She is in that, gosh, I can't speak. She is in that city she was working in Justice League. It seems like somewhere in Europe. I don't exactly know where it is, but it is somewhere in Europe. I know that because just by the ways it looks, of the architecture we saw and everything. The newspaper shows a headline of a man flying in Metropolis, and that is what leads us into Man of Steel. Alright, so now we've got our day for Man of Steel. Let's get into it. 2014 was a busy year, so I had to find a weekend that there wasn't a ton of stuff around it. July 4th, Superman Represents America. I thought it would actually work pretty well at this time. Wonder Woman was a critical and financial hit, so WB has confidence, because I really do think Wonder Woman would have been a really big hit. And it's not incredibly different from the original cut, you know, the one that was actually released, which was also a critical and financial hit, so yeah. And now, let's talk about Man of Steel. From a quality standpoint, this is my opinion, I don't want to touch Man of Steel. Same cast, same director, everything there is good. I think the movie is fantastic, and I know a lot of people disagree. I know there are some haters on Man of Steel, but I do see a lot more people coming around to Man of Steel as of late. And yeah, I freaking love Man of Steel. I think it's an amazing movie. One of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Plus, the success of Wonder Woman, even though it's a very divisive movie, Man of Steel, I do think with the success of Wonder Woman, seeing how good that movie was, it would bring more people in to watch Man of Steel, because they know WB has, you know, done good as of late. I think Man of Steel would therefore make more money. So, I know a lot of people find issues with the film, but I disagree. I even like Jonathan Kent. I see a lot of people criticizing Jonathan Kent, but here's how I see it. Seeing how that Jonathan saw that the world would be scared of Clark because people are afraid of what they don't understand. That's a thematic element they were going with for Jonathan's perspective. That's sort of what they were trying to say. And I think that makes almost it adds for good thematic elements, and I think it's really good. People don't understand Superman, and when he died and told Clark not to come, I'm talking about when Jonathan Clark died in a tornado, when he told Clark not to come so that the world would be afraid, is very selfless. I thought that was a really good element. However, he wasn't fully against Superman, because he knew the world just wasn't ready. He wanted Superman. He knew Superman would never look up because he even told Clark when he was young. He told him you're gonna be something very special one day. It's just the world isn't ready for him yet. So Clark does support Superman. It's just the world isn't ready to see him. Now, by the time Zod shows up, so about halfway through the movie, I'd say, around there, Clark knows he has to be ready. Hearing Jor-El's words as an inspiration and finding the Fortress of Solitude, I just eat it all up. I love all that stuff. I really love what Snyder did with this movie. We, in the end, get a post-credit scene revealing Lex Luthor being played by Bryan Cranston. I'm not doing super great with fan casting. I'm just throwing stuff out there. That's not really what this video is about. But I don't want Jesse Eisenberg back, frankly. I didn't think he was very good in Batman vs Superman. Not the actor's fault. I think he's just miscast. I don't think Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor type. And I do think Bryan Cranston could do a much better job with this. And yeah, so pretty much the basic story would remain pretty much the same. I loved all the thematic elements, all the action sequences. I'm pretty much giant Man of Steel fanboy. That's me. I really love what Snyder did with the movie. Now, what will happen in this scene with Lex Luthor? We get this post-credit scene, shows Lex Luthor being played by Bryan Cranston, and what it does is it shows his dislike for Superman because of all the destruction he caused in Metropolis, which we have seen as an after effect in the current day DCEU, you know, the one we actually have, not this fanboy theory. No, that's not the right words, I'm sorry. Now, this shows that this universe doesn't just let there be no consequences, and it shows why Jonathan Kent wanted Clark to not use his powers, because of people like Lex Luthor, who will be, you know, anti-Superman, anti-Clark Kent, you know? And then, so I think, again, that sets up, it works really well for what the themes that this movie set up, and it pays that off kind of nicely. And then it does also set up the themes for the next Superman movie. But now, we move on to Batman. So, now, Batman the Kid Crusader. We're doing DCEU films once a year, at least for this phase. That may change for the next one. I really don't want to rush these movies. At least not yet. So, here's my pitch for a Batman movie. We get a brief bit of his origin because I want to try and steer away from the Dark Knight trilogy, just like how Spider-Man Homecoming tried to steer away from the Raimi Spider-Man movies and the Amazing Spider-Man movies. By the way, I would also like to get Ben Affleck to direct this movie, as I think he'd do really good here. So, I think, because he's done some really good movies, such as I believe he did The Accountant, which I have not seen, but I watched The Town, that's a really good movie. And I also have not seen Argo, but I've also heard that's good. So, yeah. And he is also Ben Affleck, he's starring as Batman, of course. So, we get the opening scene of Batman vs. Superman at the beginning of this movie. Because the opening scene of Batman vs. Superman, if you don't remember, was when Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne got killed in the beginning, and Bruce had to watch, and they went into he fell down, and he was surrounded by a bunch of bats and everything, and they lift him up. That's gonna be the opening sequence of this movie. So, we got that, and then we cut to an action sequence. Batman is in the middle of a chase in the Batmobile, going against some carjackers. He then takes them out, and it's just gonna be a cool action sequence, you know. Again, another scene to just establish the tone of this movie. Then after, we see Bruce Wayne giving a public speech, and on his way home, he drives past an orphanage with a little kid outside. This kid is Dick Grayson, played by Asa Butterfield. Because I think around this time, in 2015, he would be a really good age to play, you know, an older teenage Dick Grayson. I think that could work. So yeah, we need someone young for the role, but not too young, and I think Butterfield is at the right age. Alfred, after a lot of talking, eventually convinces that Bruce needs to find someone to love. It's been too long since you lost Rachel. Just diving right into it, getting a little bit of that backstory there, I think that's a good idea. And then, so, about a half hour into the movie, I think that's probably a good time, that's when Bruce adopts Robin, aka Dick Grayson. We later get to a bank robbery, and Batman is here to attend. He stops the bank robbery in an amazing action sequence, and when one guy is left conscious, Batman interrogates him. However, he doesn't kill. That's something that is a difference between this universe and the DCEU current universe. Even though Batman does not kill, he still gets pretty brutal, kind of like the Batman trailer that we saw, the Robert Pattinson one. So he interrogates the bad guy, doesn't kill. The robber reveals that his boss is Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc, who is going to be mocapped by Terry Notary, aka he is the guy who played Call Obsidian in Avengers Infinity War, and he is voiced by Michael Madsen. I think he could actually do a really good voice for him, if I were to guess. But, you know, the voice could be done by plenty of people. Michael Madsen's just one of the first people that came to my mind. You know, he was Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs, a lot of Tarantino movies. And you know he has that deep voice. The main one that sold me on him for the deep voice was the Hateful Eight. I remember him having a very deep voice in that one. Now, finally, we get Killer Croc in a Batman movie. He is one of the bad guys I've always wanted to see in a Batman movie. They did a complete disservice to him in Suicide Squad, and I really want to see him done justice in this movie. However, Killer Croc is not the main villain in this movie, as about an hour and 10 minutes, or around an hour into the movie, we get Joker, played by Johnny Depp, who is revealed to be a big boss. Now, I know Johnny Depp may seem like stupid casting, you know, he's too cartoony, everyone thinks of Jack Sparrow when they hear Johnny Depp, and of course, there's a stuff going on with him now, which we will not talk about. And here's the thing. The movie that sort of turned me around on him, even though I did not like the movie, is Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. He was actually a scary villain in that movie. I thought he was one of the highlights of the film. I thought he was one of the highlights of a bad film. But at the end of the day, he was one of the highlights, and I thought he was actually cool in that movie. And so I think he could, if we combine the craziness of, say, Willy Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the scariness of Grindelwald, and combine that into this performance, it'd be pretty much perfect. But I'm sure, you know, at the end of the day, this isn't a fan cast video. I'm sure I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, no, Joker, too soon, what are you doing? And don't get me wrong, Heath Ledger did incredible as the Joker, but I wouldn't do this. I would not bring Joker back if it weren't in service of the story. Because I think Joker has to be in this story. So it just feels necessary. So about 45 to 50 minutes into the movie, Dick Grayson finds out about the Batcave, and then Dick is beginning to become Robin. I'm not trying to flesh out these story beats too much, because at the end of the day, I don't want this video to take forever. So I'm not going incredibly in-depth, I'm just going in-depth enough, at least for me. Maybe even too in-depth for some of you guys. So Dick is now training to become Robin. Robin does a ton of training throughout the movie because, you know, I feel like he can't just become a superhero too quickly. I feel like, you know, you gotta earn being able to go out on the field. So he does a lot of training throughout the movie. This movie's gonna take over the time of weeks, so it can really make Dick feel earned to wear that Robin costume. You know, so the movie's gonna take place over the course of weeks, or maybe even a month or so. Could take a while. So Robin finally feels, eventually, you know, over the course of weeks, Robin finally feels that he is ready to end his training and go out to the field. But Batman tells him no. Bruce believes that he can't send Dick out yet because he doesn't feel like he can lose another person he cares about, just like how he lost Rachel. And eventually, Alfred talks to Dick about what happened. Dick eventually leaves without permission because he is choosing his own judgment over Bruce's. Is this a mistake? We shall see. Now, here's the twist. Robin gets the data of where Croc's sewer base is, which he gets. You know, he downloads it off of Batman's Bat computer, so he just goes by himself. So he eventually finds Robin. Killer Croc, what is the matter with my head? I am a messed up person. I am sorry. So he gets into the sewer and he beats up a bunch of Killer Croc henchmen, really making it feel like he earned all that training. He earned that development of the training and the fighting and all that. And it's gonna be a real satisfying moment there. But then, once you think Robin is so ready for this, he is not strong enough to beat Killer Croc, and Killer Croc just freaking obliterates him. Now, once Batman shows up into the fight, he is strong enough to beat Killer Croc, because there was also an action sequence earlier in the film where Batman was fighting Killer Croc when, after the bank robbery, eventually leads here. Sorry, I'm telling this a bit out of order. Oh well, frankly, I'm not a screenwriter yet, and honestly, I need to just get this video out because there's a lot more I have to do than writing the script to get this video out. And so after Batman loses that first fight with Killer Croc, he does discover his weakness, and that is that he is slow on land compared to the water, because at the end of the day, this battle does take place in the sewers. So once Batman shows up, he is finally strong enough to beat Killer Croc, and it's a satisfying moment that he, after all this time, after all, he did a bit more training in there, because he trained with Robin, and then he also did some more crimes on patrol and everything. He finally beat Killer Croc. After a long, and now we get to see Dick Grayson tied up in a chair with dynamite on his chest. And who does Batman run into? None other than the Joker. Batman sees the Joker and Dick tied up in the chair with explosives. After a long talk of Batman just pretty much trying to do anything he can to convince Joker not to do this, Joker does it. Joker blows up the entire area, and thankfully, Batman survives the explosion. However, Dick Grayson does not. Robin is dead. Joker is presumed dead, however, a body has not been found. In the end, Croc's army is taken out, so it's a very sweet victory here. Yeah, that's my Batman movie, so that's very different from the other Batman movies. This is, of course, a thin outline of it. You know, I don't want to spend ages on it, but yeah. Dang. Even I'm feeling the emotion of what's happening here. Yeah, so because of course everyone knows the story, the Killing Joke, or a lot of people know the Killing Joke, where Joker kills Jason Todd, who was Robin at that time, after I believe Dick Grayson already became Nightwing. And you know, the roles are pretty much flipped here. Pretty much Dick Grayson is now the Jason Todd with this. Will he become Red Hood in the future? We'll see. At least he doesn't. At least not in this phase. I may do the Red Hood. I'm still thinking about it. But as of now, Dick Grayson is dead. And so, yeah, really cool twist there in my opinion. I thought that'd be a good way to subvert the Batman fan base's expectations. Now, one more thing I want to say, also Lucius Fox is in this movie providing Batman's gadgets and everything, and Lucius Fox will come to play in the future as an important role. Now, my post-credit scene here would be Lucius Fox in Metropolis attending a meeting, and at the same time, Superman and Zod are fighting. The shot then zooms to Fox's face of terror and then cuts. We now move on to Man of Steel 2. Man of Steel, Savior of Metropolis. Here we go. Coming out in 2016, going for that September release date, late September. I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, it's a Superman movie. It's gonna do great no matter where it comes out, or no matter what the date is. It's a Superman movie. It's gonna do great. There's not much competition around this time. It's gonna do great. Now, I feel like Snyder would still be great as the director here. And Superman is going through the same arc he went through in Batman vs Superman, the real life one, in this movie. He is now trying to make a good public image, but some people are against him, ruining his image. That's pretty much what he was that sort of arc he was going through in Batman vs Superman. Of, does the world really need Superman? The main person doing this, of course, you know, trying to ruin Superman's image, is naturally Lex Luthor, as is set up at the end of Man of Steel 1. Superman is going through the arc of trying to see if the world needs him. This plot is going to seem thin, but it's because I don't want to spend a ton of time here, frankly. This video is probably already going to be long enough. So also Lois Lane here is trying to support Clark and make a good public image for him, but because of her image, her image is being damaged because she is trying to help Clark, and therefore Luthor would also see her as a good target. She's getting fewer jobs and, you know, fewer things to report. Perry White is sending out other better reporters to report this because they don't want Lois Lane's image on there at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, more than anything, she wants to be supportive of Clark. Now, we get into the villain, who is Lex Luthor. Luthor wants to become mayor of Metropolis so he can make Metropolis how he wants it. He doesn't want to ruin it, he just wants to make Metropolis how he thinks it should be. And that is without Superman. About an hour in, we get our first big action sequence. I really want to start the movie, kind of on a nice note, him stopping a few crimes, and then Lex Luthor slowly starts ruining his image, and then eventually, halfway through, we get to a big fight. We're going to still have action sequences sprinkled in, but it is the first big one. Luthor has his power suit, and he got kryptonite early in the film, which is now established. Also, the suit has a mask, so nobody knows who he is, but it's useless against Superman because of X-ray vision. So Superman knows who he is, but no one else does. Once they get into the fight, Superman starts strong. Luthor is just taking it easy in the beginning as he now starts to take out the kryptonite. He has a kryptonite sword, Superman starts losing, and the fight ends with Luthor stabbing Clark in the chest. Luthor sees him as dead, so he leaves. However, Lois does everything she can to get Clark to the Fortress of Solitude, as there he has a chance of being saved. She's able to call in a helicopter and say, I think that's the most logical way to do it. It's a bit of a stretch there, but at the end of the day, I just want to get this video out. So now after they're going to the Fortress of Solitude now, Jor-El's hologram sees him in his condition, and we get a nice emotional moment there between Jor-El and Clark Kent, aka Kal-El, because they didn't get much time together at the end of the day, because he died when he was a baby. However, Superman is able to be saved, but he is not ready to fight yet. This is now going to be similar to The Dark Knight Rises, where Batman had to come back from being nearly killed. We get the inspirational words of Jor-El speaking to Clark, and to make it even more impactful, we also hear Jonathan Kent saying that the world is ready for him. This now builds the arc he went through in the first movie, coming full circle in this one. The first movie was about Clark figuring out who he is, and this one, it's about the public figuring out who he is. Luthor is planning on bombing a speech led by one of the competitors for mayor. Even though Luthor did what he wanted, greed is overtaking him now, and he wants to be mayor more than anything, playing into, play about themes of greed, and I think that's something interesting to tackle in a Superman movie with the character of Luthor. Superman is flying back to Metropolis, and he's able to hear it ticking from the bomb, because, superhearing. He's on his way to find Luthor, and now we cut to Luthor in his power suit getting ready to set off the bomb. We are with Luthor, and we hear the theme swelling up, and then it hits, the classic, well, not really classic, but the amazing Man of Steel theme that Hans Zimmer did, which is just amazing. Really loved it. You get it building up, and then bam, Superman flies him right through the wall, brings him up in the sky, and punches him down to the ground. Man, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. I love that Man of Steel theme so much, and it's so good. I'm imagining it right now. Superman isn't holding back on the man who almost killed him. It's kind of like in Zack Snyder's Justice League when he came back on Steppenwolf. Now we have our battle. Luthor is able to get a few upper hands. He uses some of his kryptonite, but Clark is able to dodge most of it, and he outsmarts Luthor since Luthor wasn't prepared for this battle. Luthor went into the last battle prepared for it. He was not prepared for this one. This one caught him off guard. Superman was in the Fortress of Solitude prepping for his battle with Luthor, as he knew it was bound to happen. Luthor eventually runs out of kryptonite, and Superman begins destroying the suit. Superman is about to kill Luthor with laser vision, but he realizes that he shouldn't kill. Now he has a choice, unlike when he did with Zod. This is again growing the character of Superman, taking the Man of Steel, Clark Kent, Kal-El, to becoming Superman by the end of this movie. The public is watching, and Superman lets the feds handle him, because at the end of the day, he's just a dude. Luthor is taken to Iron Heights. That's not established in the current day DCEU, but in this one, Iron Heights is a thing. Superman and Lois are happy together, and now both have a good public image. Superman ends as the true savior of Metropolis. There is a post-credit scene here. Clark is walking out of his apartment building in Metropolis to get to work, and he accidentally bumps into someone. That woman is Diana Prince, who is checking into Metropolis to stay a few days. She doesn't live there and saw Superman on the TV, so she is going there to investigate another super being. That's the end of Man of Steel, Savior of Metropolis. Even the post-credit scenes tie in to the overarching story. And now we move on, finally, to Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Alright, so for Batman vs. Superman here, I'm going for that November release date. That's exactly what Justice League had. And I'm sure if Justice League was an actual, good movie, Justice League, when it came out, if Justice League was actually good, it would have made way more money. And the difference here is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. This movie here is going to be a good movie. So that's why it'll do greatly this month. And even though it has a big competition there with Thor Ragnarok, I think this movie can hold its own. I will say Man of Steel: City of Metropolis and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice were shot back to back because Zack Snyder would have to do a lot of work here for 2 movies back to back. He's gonna just shoot them back to back, similar to how the Russo brothers did Infinity War and Endgame back to back. The opening scene is the scene where Bruce is in Metropolis, and it's pretty much the same as how it went in the actual Batman vs. Superman movie. Where Bruce Wayne is there, he's on the call and everything, he gets Metropolis, and then you just see the mass destruction of that fight with Zod and Superman, just the mass destruction to the city. Thought that'd be really good to put in there. The next scene is in Iron Heights, and it shows a group of henchmen breaking in and freeing Lex Luthor from the prison. I also think it would be a cool thing to put in there right before this Iron Heights scene. You get the scene of, where are they? Oh yeah, title credits. I believe that's what they're called. Yeah, the title credits. I think that'd be pretty cool. Of Batman vs. Superman. Now, Luthor's goal isn't to make another suit. Now his goal is to make Doomsday. Throughout the entire movie, he is making Doomsday, and he is in the end unleashed, just like in Batman vs. Superman. But instead of doing all this stuff, bringing Batman to kill him and everything, and Superman to kill Batman, he's just going all out here. He's just going straight for a Doomsday. Superman's arc here is a 2-story arc. This leads into Justice League, and it's about the people not feeling safe enough with Superman here, since he almost died in the last movie. Not only do the public question it, Superman questions himself if he's strong enough to protect Metropolis. This culminates very powerfully to his death at the end, due to Doomsday. Batman's arc is about him dealing with his grief. He just lost Robin in the last movie, and in the beginning, instead of Jack dying, it's Lucius Fox, to make that beginning credits even more emotional. Batman is dealing with his grief, and he blames Superman for Fox's death. That is why we have the rivalry between Batman and Superman, at least why Batman hates Superman. He is also worried about how many more can die if Superman sticks around. We get the full arc of Batman here with denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally ending with acceptance over the death of Robin and Fox, and at the end, Superman. Which, of course, if you don't know those 5, those are the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally, acceptance. There you go. At the end, he still has his guilt over the death of Superman, just like in the actual movie. Here's why they will fight. Batman wants revenge on Superman for the death of Fox and all of the future destruction he can cause. Batman is also killing people in this movie, just like in the real Batman vs. Superman, but he's doing it for a different reason. Because in the original movie, he just always killed. That was just his thing. In this movie, Batman is killing because of his grief, and his anger is being released, putting Batman through a tough arc. His anger is being released by killing all his people, showing that Bruce is in a tough emotional spot. This is pretty much Bruce Wayne at his broodiest time. And then, since naturally Batman is killing people, Superman wants to take him down. That's just who Superman is. His arc ends with redemption as he helps Superman. Bruce Wayne's arc specifically. It ends with redemption as he helps Superman take down Doomsday. The way the fight stops is Lois Lane, and I'm talking about the fight between Superman and Batman. The way the fight ends is Lois Lane comes in and Batman is about to kill Superman. Lois yells out, "Clark." I know it sounds bad, but she's so worried that she yells out Clark by accident. Just human mistake. Lois runs over to Clark and Batman sees that they have a relationship. The entire time, Batman saw Superman as just an alien, but he sees that he has a human relationship, and we get a quick flashback to Rachel Dawes and the relationship that Bruce and Rachel had. It doesn't matter who plays her since it's such a short scene. I'm not really worried about fan casting at that point. Batman helps Superman, and as soon as Superman is helped out, he hears a bunch of clanking. Doomsday is being born, because, again, superheroing. And, they throw the spear away for a little bit. and Doomsday is being born, and the kryptonite spear is left at the building. Also, the Martha moment is not in this movie, to be clear. Luthor is in Zod's ship that crashed in Metropolis from Man of Steel. Superman meets Luthor in the room he's in, and Batman is breaking in, and a bunch of Luthor's goons are right out front. Now, unfortunately, my story of how I structured Batman vs Superman here, it would not be the same as the actual movie that was released. The only unfortunate thing that comes out of that is we don't get the Batman warehouse scene, but instead we get this equivalent here, where Batman is taking out a bunch of these Luthor goons on the Zod ship that crashed. So it'd still be really cool. And now what we get is once Batman breaks through, Doomsday is ready to fight. Luthor says nothing can kill God but the devil himself, referring to that line in Batman vs Superman, the actual movie, when Luthor says, if man won't kill God, the devil will do it, or something along those lines. So before you come at me with religious stuff, this was in the OG movie, okay? I'm just keeping the themes there. Then we get into a fight with Doomsday and Superman. The fight is being broadcast now on the news, and someone is watching on their TV in her home. This person knows she is near. This person knows she is near the fight, and we only see the back of this person's head, and we see the person's water bottle that they were holding while they were drinking. Because, this person is drinking a water bottle while watching the news, nothing weird. And you just see it drop to the floor, like a slow motion sort of thing, because Zack Snyder's great with that slow motion stuff. Sometimes he goes a bit overboard, but I do dig slow motion. The fight is now pretty much the same as it was in the OG movie. That moment where Wonder Woman shows up is going to be so much better now because we have been waiting to see her again in one of these movies after 4 years, not counting post-credit scenes. The hype is real here, and it's just an epic fight. Maybe making the fight a little longer to make it even more satisfying. It ends once again with Superman stabbing Doomsday with the kryptonite spear, and Superman is dying in the process. It's a very emotional ending after having 2 movies of Superman before this, rather than having one like how they did in real life, making the death feel more earned. Plus, Superman's arc of how he's worried he isn't strong enough for Metropolis is perfectly showcased here, as he wasn't strong enough to kill Doomsday and survive. Now, the people are at a loss without Superman. The movie's conclusion is almost probably going to be the same. Luthor is this time put in Arkham Asylum instead of Iron Heights, like how he was in Man of Steel 2. At the end, we have a post-credit scene of seeing that footage we saw in the actual movie of Barry Allen stopping the crime in the store, Aquaman in the ocean, and Cyborg being put together. That scene where it was in the actual movie. I think that'd be pretty cool to have as a post-credit scene. This setting up Justice League. Okay, just before we get Justice League, we have one more movie. So we're gonna have 6 movies in Phase 1. 7 movies in Phase 1 instead of 6, like how the MCU had. The 6th movie here is going to be The Flash, coming out in December of 2018, just like how Aquaman did. This is pretty much that Aquaman replacement. I feel like we need a Flash solo movie before we get to Justice League, because Flash is such a popular character that it feels like a crime not to have his own movie first. A good director for this, I'm not the casting guy, I'm not the director guy. A good director for this movie, I think, would be Scott Derrickson, who did Doctor Strange. And even though I didn't think the movie was great, my problem with Doctor Strange was that I could feel the MCU formula in there. It felt like almost too basic of an origin story. Now here's the thing, that was pretty much Marvel forcing down the MCU formula down to the Doctor Strange movie. This movie, it doesn't have that. So Scott Derrickson has more free reign. Of course, I had some limitations in there, so it's just not. This movie just doesn't go bonkers, but a bit more freedom. But the best thing about Doctor Strange was the visuals, and I can imagine Scott Derrickson doing a great job here with the Flash's visual style. Now, I feel like he could do amazing with the Speed Force and how the way Flash could run this movie. He also has to make it similar to how Snyder does it, and Snyder is still doing the Justice League movie, and the writing needs to feel consistent. For story, I'm pulling some beats in from the Flash Season 1 on the CW. Even though I stopped watching those shows, the CW shows, I loved the first 2 seasons of The Flash. I thought they were fantastic. I want Reverse Flash as the villain, who will be played by the amazing Kevin Bacon, since he was so good as Shaw in X-Men First Class. He really was just awesome. And I could really see him bringing that menacing persona to Eobard Thawne in this movie. We go through Barry's entire origin story here, with us seeing his mom die in the opening scene. We get that scene in Justice League where Barry visits his father, and Barry tells his father that he got another job. It's just like in Justice League where Henry tells Barry that he is a drag on his life. It's an emotional scene here, like in Justice League. In the movie, Barry lives with Joe West, played by Chris Rock. I thought Chris Rock could work because Joe West is a cop guy, and Chris Rock just played a cop guy in Spiral, so kind of thematic there. So he was kind of just the first guy I thought, and I couldn't really think of anyone else, so yeah. And we also got Iris West in the movie, played by the same girl that was in Justice League. Iris is not Barry's love interest. They are practically siblings since they grew up together, so at least in this movie, they are not really love interests. Just saying. So one of Barry's jobs in the movie is he works as an assistant in a chemistry lab, which is, could be a side job. About 20 minutes into the film, he's cleaning up in the lab and then gets struck by lightning. All of the particles fall onto him as well, which gives him his speed powers. Apologies for the pause. Now we cut to Joe visiting Henry in prison and giving him the news about what happened to Barry, and we get a very heartfelt father-son type moment, or almost, in this case, father-to-father moment. Cut to Barry in a hospital surrounded by Joe and Iris. They comfort him, and then he wakes up. He is injured for a while, and then the next morning he starts feeling something. We see him get up, but everything around him is in slow motion, and we see him in normal time, making for cool visuals. Barry is realizing he has his powers, and he's trying to control them, but he can't yet. He starts experimenting with powers he has. This would be similar to Shazam. When Billy and, oh my gosh, what's the other kid's name? Oh, why am I blanking on that right now? Freddy, that's his name. When Billy and Freddy were testing out what powers Billy has as Shazam. Barry is now on his way to the chemistry lab to see what particles fell on him. On the way, we then get that scene in Justice League when Barry saves Iris in the car crash. So Barry can see that he can use his power for good. I changed the scene a little bit so there's less slow motion and so that Barry can seem like a bit less of a creep, but overall the scene would be pretty similar. One more thing I would change is that Barry wouldn't be holding her at the end, he would be somewhere else so that he could keep his identity a secret. Barry then gets to the lab, sees what the particles are, and takes note of them. It doesn't come back to play in this movie, but it does in a future movie. Will be set up. Yeah, heck yeah, setup. Setup's awesome, right guys? Barry is on his way back home, and now he sees a mugging going on. Barry at first thinks to walk away, but then he realizes he has his powers, and then pushes the mugger down and stops him. The victim is saved, and then is somewhat frightened and runs away. Barry looks down and sees that his clothes are burning up a bit, and he has to get a suit that can handle this. He tries out for multiple different materials, but he is eventually able to get his suit, which is made from silica-based quartz sand fabric, just like in Justice League. Iris is back home from work, and Barry has to hide the suit. He hides it in the closet for the scene, and later finds a good hideout, which is the one shown in Justice League. Instead of having a bunch of computer screens, he only has one or two, because at the moment, he doesn't have a ton of money. Not much later, we finally get to see our main villain, Reverse Flash. It is shown that he is traveling back in time to our present. He is there to kill Barry Allen, and he doesn't want to waste any time. To get Barry's attention, he just goes for it. He just straight up kidnaps Iris from work. He is on the news holding Iris hostage, and he says that if the cops go after him, he will kill them. Reverse Flash says that he wants to kill the Flash, the fastest man alive. Barry, not thinking about it much, just goes for it. He is ready in his new suit to save Iris. He searches all throughout the city and eventually finds the Reverse Flash, who is tied up in a chair. Barry finds Reverse Flash, and Flash just starts getting beaten up. He tries his best to fight, but realizes he's no match for Reverse Flash. Barry is down on the ground defeated, and now he watches Iris getting killed by Reverse Flash. Barry can't take this, and he runs, then Reverse Flash starts chasing him. Barry is running as fast as he can, and he just eventually runs so fast, it gets to the point where he runs back in time. He is now back to the time just before Iris got kidnapped. Barry goes back to fight Reverse Flash, but this time he leaves a note on Joe's desk at CCPD, leaving the address of where Reverse Flash is, and since Joe knows Iris is there, he doesn't hesitate to go, and he also brings the entire squad with him. Flash and Reverse Flash get into another fight, but this time Barry is more prepared, so he puts up a better fight, but not good enough. The police squad breaks in and surrounds Reverse Flash, who has Barry in a headlock. Reverse Flash drops Barry, and we now get a slow motion scene similar to a scene Quicksilver would have in the X-Men movies. This time it's the Reverse Flash murdering the entire police squad except for Joe, since he wants Barry to properly be able to watch Joe die. Reverse Flash goes up to Joe and stabs Joe. Joe is stabbed by Reverse Flash's phasing hand, which is a very popular thing that he did in the Flash TV show. I thought that was a really cool thing. However, there is a plot element that was established earlier in the film, even though I didn't say it earlier, but it was established, where since he is in the future, time is catching up to him because he is currently on the run from the Speed Force. And that's why he is not on his full A game. He is, kind of losing his sort of sense of speed a little bit and everything. And he just puts so much effort into killing those squad members. And while Reverse Flash is not paying enough attention because he already expects Joe to be dead, and Reverse Flash is pretty much looking at Barry at this point for his next victim, Joe unexpectedly gets to shoot Reverse Flash right in the head with his gun. Reverse Flash's cockiness got the better of him, and so he got shot. Iris and Barry, among others, are now attending Joe's funeral. This is also when Wally West walks up to Iris and Barry, meets them for the first time since he recently discovered that Joe is his father and his mother is dead. This can be set up for Flash 2, which, man, I'm doing so good with this, I'm so proud. Alright, we also get a scene where Barry was able to get a job by the end, which was set up, and he got a job as a forensic analysis since he was able to analyze the chemicals that spilled on him when he became the Flash. Also, that's his job in the comics, I believe, and the TV show. CCPD hired him also in sympathy for Joe because of his unfortunate death. We then get to see Barry bringing the good news to his father about and how proud Henry is of Barry, just like in Justice League. But we also get a little bit of extra emotion there about Joe's death, and we almost get a little bonding moment there. Now we get one final run for the Flash, embracing who he is, similar to the ending of the first Spider-Man when he gets that final swing. So, kind of taking a bit of inspiration from there. Finally, we get a post-credit scene. This scene is not really a scene, it's a trailer for Justice League. This is pretty much identical to how Captain America the First Avenger had a post-credit scene, which was a trailer for the Avengers. So finally, that's the Flash done. Now we are going to get to the conclusion of Phase 1. Guys, we finally made it to Justice League, coming out June 14th, 2019. Very packed time, but it's a Justice League movie. It's had its good setup. It's gonna do well. Same year as Avengers Endgame. Boy oh boy. Once the MCU is being concluded, the DCEU is just getting started. This Justice League is going to be very similar to Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to discuss what I would change. First off, the Flash has a different arc. Barry and Bruce Wayne have a father-son type relationship, similar to the relationship that Tony and Peter Parker had in the MCU. It makes sense for these characters as Bruce recently lost a son figure with Dick Grayson, and Barry lost a father figure with Joe West, so it works perfectly for their arcs. We also keep that scene from Justice League where Barry's worried about saving people since this scale is too large for him, as Steppenwolf is, a very big bad guy that wants to kill the entire world. Reverse Flash just wanted to kill Barry. We can still see that Barry doesn't have much experience in proper combat, as he still lost his battles in the previous movie. Bruce then says, "Save one," and Barry says, "Then what?" And Bruce says, "You'll know." Just like in Justice League. I know that movie is awful, but I genuinely liked that moment. So, if you take away the comedy element from that scene, where Barry was like, "I just push people and run away," which is stupid, And if you take away the comedy element from there, it could be a really nice moment, and I think it would work well in this movie. Superman also fulfills a different arc in the movie. Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League was about him finding who he is, which was pretty much the conclusion of that was his arc in Man of Steel 1 and 2. And in the end, he is proven to be the right embodiment of Superman. That was his arc in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the current real one, and his arc in now this hypothetical universe in Man of Steel 1 and 2. In this one, it's about Superman finding his strength, and it works with him beating the crap out of Steppenwolf, because once the news carries over after the final battle, the people will question Superman's strength much less. Because, if you don't remember, in Batman vs. Superman, his arc was about, is he strong enough to protect Metropolis? And now, with this one, we conclude his arc with him not just being strong enough to protect Metropolis, but as a team, with him and the Justice League, they are strong enough to protect the entire world. Now, another thing. A lot of Flash screen time will be cut, since this time he got an origin story, also less slow motion and less Amazonian yell. All of this, plus maybe cut out a few more scenes, can hopefully trim this down to around 150 to 165 minute runtime. A Justice League movie can hold a runtime this long. Another thing is the Bruce/Barry relationship. We have Barry and Bruce discuss time travel. This is a discussion with the entire team, and Bruce brings up how there are consequences to time travel. The consequence of last time, with this happening, was instead of Iris dying, Joe died. So there are always consequences to time travel. And Barry's payoff moments of him slightly breaking the rule are made even better. With really, he doesn't just get to say that there are consequences to time travel like he did in Zack Snyder's Justice League. We are shown the consequences of time travel. And now one more thing here, Martian Manhunter would have just become a post-credit scene. Also, he would not meet with Bruce, and he would not see Martha. We would not see Martha turn into Martian Manhunter, as I think that scene would be better without it. We just see Swanwick, who is the character in the DCEU that is Martian Manhunter. He just turns into Martian Manhunter, because that's who he is. You know, that's his disguise. There was also one more post-credit scene, which shows the nightmares. The nightmares have been in the previous movies, and we see this series of movies has kept it. So the nightmares setting up future movies. So that's the end of Phase 1. Thank you guys for watching this super long video, and tell me what you think about my DCEU redo. How would you do it? Do you agree with me? I'm interested in your opinions, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you did. It really would help support my channel. I'm really trying to do some different stuff here. I'm doing a lot of movie coverage here. This is a movie channel. If you love movies, you love talking movies too much, all that stuff, come here. This is your spot. Look forward to future content I'm going to do, such as the future 2 phases I'll do of the DCEU. And yeah, I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye-bye.